Hey, good morning, guys. Just finished up reading in my word this morning and felt on my heart that I needed to make this video. And the whole reason why I made ministry in the markets was not just that we are people who understand the times and know what we ought to do, but it's to give both practical and prophetic warnings. The tribe of Issachar understood the times and knew what they ought to do. So they had both a prophetic and practical understanding. And just driving around my complex this morning, we live in a decently nice neighborhood here in Tennessee, and there's eviction notices going up. And we've been here for a few years now, and I think this is the first time we've seen that actually be posted on people's doors. I think I drove around this morning and 9 of these complexes are empty, 3 of which had eviction notices on there. We know of people who have struggled to pay bills. We have struggled to pay bills. We've been tremendously blessed to make the income that we do to be able to afford to live, and then have extra left over and things of that nature. Not much, but we definitely are just blessed. And so with that being said, I wanted to make this video because I think there's an economic storm coming. I think it's going to be a credit event. Your initial telltale sign is when people are struggling to pay their bills, but that is just the ripple effects that happen from policy change, right? The Bible says that the oil flows from the top down. I think overall, Trump has brought a lot of money into the market, into the economy as a whole. Billions of dollars, but when you are talking about trillions, it doesn't even scratch the surface. So it's almost for show, if you will. He's a great businessman, and he can bring in X amount, right? Billions with a B, billions. But then you talk about what our debt is. We have trillions, 37 trillion, and then he just passed the big beautiful bill adding 5 trillion to our deficit now that I believe matures within 10 years. I think closer to 7, if I'm not mistaken. That is not good for our economy. Not at all. No shape or form is that good for our economy. And so I'm saying all of this to say that, well, let me give you this example to maybe put it into a better perspective for you. If you count 1 million in like seconds, it's going to be a couple of days. I think like 7 days or something like that. If you count 1 billion, in seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 1 billion, you're going to get 37 years, something crazy like that. And then you count from 1 second all the way to 1 trillion, it's 37,000 plus years. That's the massive gap difference that we are talking about when it comes to the money that's coming into the economy, and then the money that we have in debt. The reason why he was so critical of Jerome Powell of not lowering interest rates is because that debt that we have, we're going to have to pay so much in interest on that debt. But actually, what I really think, he said something earlier on in the year about economic catastrophe if we don't raise the debt ceiling or something like that. He tweeted that. I wish I had it saved. I haven't been able to find it since, but I remember reading that and thinking to myself, the president of the United States just said that we could potentially have an economic catastrophe if we don't pass adding more money to our economy right now by printing it. That's a scary thought. Not scary in the sense that, God isn't going to protect and provide for us. More of the sense of, wow, like that's something you should be paying attention to. And so with that being said, he did it. He added the $5 trillion to that we needed. And so maybe we don't have an economic catastrophe. Maybe we just have a a large economic recession, whatever is just below catastrophe, if that makes sense. And I think it's getting ready to start here very, very soon, probably within the month of August moving forward. The only reason why I'm saying that, not that I'm prophetic, I want to give credit where credit is due. I was seeing these properties going vacant, people moving out, hardly anybody moving in. Then I saw eviction notices, and this isn't just like the last couple of weeks. This has been for around 6 to 8 months, almost a year now. I want to say a year, over 8 months, where I was starting to notice a place that we've lived in for years that was pretty much full majority of the time slowly start to people were leaving, people were coming in, people were leaving. Now homes are vacant. It's kind of just tiered like that. And now eviction notices are up. I think 2 weekends ago, I saw there was a shooting in Nashville over a rental dispute. Yeah, and so this has been on my heart to make this video. And then I saw yesterday somebody posted a video about the Lord had spoke to them that there was a shaking coming into the specifically the stock market, or the verbiage was there was going to be another rumbling. Probably going to see a lot of regional bank issues. I think there's going to be some commercial real estate not being able to afford the interest. Also, inflation has now just gone up year over year. It has been incrementally ticking up for over the past month, I would say. 2 months ago, I think we got our first tick up, and no big deal. And then I think this month, the month of July, year over year, we went from 2.5 to 2.7 inflation. And so now, even with Trump being critical of Jerome Powell not lowering interest rates, which I think was probably a good thing. It's probably what has stayed off this economic catastrophe, if you will, without everything just bottoming out, right? Now, how do you lower interest rates if inflation is ticking up? So interest rates are already really high, and inflation is now beginning to tick up. How do you lower interest rates? That is not a good sign. And Trump's over here saying, I'm going to fire Jerome Powell if he doesn't lower interest rates. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. Don't get distracted by the headlines and things of that nature. This is not a good sign. I think the past month now, people have been, people who bought Bitcoin in the beginning are now selling for billions of dollars, closing their entire positions. Like, why now, right? What is happening now? And with that being said, I am still a believer. As of right now, I'm still a believer in just buying Bitcoin for the long term. But I do think a significant drop in the market is coming, not just in crypto, but overall, because of this credit event that's getting ready to happen, whatever that looks like. Yeah, that's it. I love you guys. God bless you. Stay safe. I think if there was something that I would personally do, this is not financial advice. Again, like I said, I'm a long-term believer in Bitcoin. I think the dollar is going away and crypto is to stay. And so the leader of crypto is Bitcoin. I don't see that flipping anytime soon. And I think dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin is probably a solid strategy. Any company that has a lot of Bitcoin is probably a good investment. Any company that seems to be outperforming the stock market right now is probably a good investment. I think Robinhood, and I don't know if this is a prophetic thing, more of it is as I've been just watching the stock for a long time now. I trade on their platform. I think Robinhood is getting ready to lead the way in what investing is going to look like in the future. And I think it's $100 now. I don't think it's a stretch that they would push to 500 in a couple of years. In a couple of years, and I'm talking like end of 2026. That would be crazy, but the reality is I think they are the future, and I think big money is going to buy into Robinhood. That's just I can't say that's prophetic. I just more so feel like that is just discernment. I'm discerning something there. And GameStop had bought a lot of Bitcoin. What else? MSTR ticker symbol, right? Michael Saylor, I think that's how you say his name. I think that is his name. And DJT, I think they're trying to buy a lot of Bitcoin. Yeah, any company that owns a lot of Bitcoin is probably a solid safe haven. Though I think Bitcoin does take a dip with the overall market, even though we are at all-time highs on both S&P and Bitcoin. MSTY, they're the dividend of MSTY, so you're getting a solid dividend return on your money. So that's connected to Bitcoin. That feels really good, especially with Bitcoin most likely just continuing to outperform everything. Once the Fed pivots, that will be probably the bottom of Bitcoin. The Fed is going to have to pivot at some point with this economic issue that we're going to be having here very soon. That's it. Don't want to make this video too long. It's already over 10 minutes. I love you. God bless you. I'll catch y'all on the next one.